Jackson right now, but it was overthrown way over his head, right into the hands of the safety man, number 22, Burgess Owens. Now it's a foot race, and the only thing that saved this from not being a touchdown is the great speed of number 14, Steve Grogan.
Cunningham is the blocker. Touchdown, New England. As Horace, Jets 11. Grogan to Horace Ivory. Pete Rock leads the way. Ivory scores his second touchdown of the ball game. And an extra point is blocked. Extra point is blocked by Joe Flacco.
Moments ago at Shea Stadium with the score tied at 10, the Patriots run this sweep. 58, Pete Brock out in front. 23, Horace Ivory with the ball. Cuts in, then back out. The Patriots on an 11-yard touchdown by Ivory go up 16-10 at Shea over the Jets. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to NFL 78. I'm Brian Gumbel. Mike Adamle is in our highlight center. We're going to get you caught up on all the action of week number 12, including highlights. But first, let's go live to Shea Stadium. Join Charlie Jones and Len Dawson.
Oh, he's winding up, bringing that ball way down around his knee, which is not a good thing to do, but you can see that there's no way that you can throw over these big defensive linemen. I mean, they're just too tall.
This is Charlie Jones, Len Dawson, Shea Stadium. New England leading the Jets 16-10. Jets has the football. Matt Robinson is replacing injured Richard Todd. Pass is complete. Jerome Barkham. Steve Keene was there for the defense. Barkham goes out at about the 42-yard line. So it'll be third down and a yard.
Boy, that was a perfect throw because great coverage by 52 Steve King. The ball was right on the money, right next to the sidelines where Barkham could make the catch and stay in bounds. The first pass was not a very good one, but this one was excellent. You can see the good coverage there. Look at that. Great moves by Barkham, keeping both feet in bounds.
Both tight ends are in. Clark Gaines is in. Short yardage. Third down 1. Kevin Long. First down Jets. 44-yard line. Minutes left to go in the ball game. New England leading 16-10.
And don't forget about that blocked extra point.
Looming larger and larger. Brings up two factors. One, a touchdown at extra point gives you the lead. Number two, don't overlook 2 field goals.
Well, the Jets have to get something going. That's the big first down for Matt Robinson. He needed that.
Here's the double wing. Both tight ends. Play action.
Way up top. Kiss it up.
Just tie it up. Robinson to Wesley Walker. Beating Claiborne and Hayes. 56 yards. And Wesley Walker was captured.
I said earlier you can contain this guy for a while, but he has the ability to break the big one. And here he is. Here comes speed. Mike Hayes has got great speed. Wesley Walker has more. Great throw, great catch. The ball game is tied. The extra point coming up, and we said, remember the blocked extra point.
Well, here's the applause for our timing. And then if the Jets do make that extra point, they'll take the lead 17-16. We might note that, as you noted, Robinson was in there quarterbacking because Richard Todd re-injured his right shoulder. Okay, 2 teams with winning streaks on the line are playing in Minnesota. The Chargers have won 3 in a row. The Vikings 4 in a row. It's 13-7 in the 4th period. Let's check in with Mike Adamle and get some highlights in this game. Been a good ball game, Mike.
Very good. You know, during the offseason, Bryant, there was a very big trade. The Minnesota Vikings trade away All-Pro guard Ed White. He has done a super job for San Diego, opening up big holes in the Viking defensive line. But Tarkington was his usual masterful self in the first quarter. Here he hits Ricky Young for touchdown number 1 to make it 7-0 for the Vikings. But San Diego behind a long, good running attack, and Hank Fowler here scores to make it 7-7. Dan Fouts trips on this play in the second half, but finds John Jefferson. Boy, they taught him well at Arizona State. They missed the extra point. It's 13-7. That missed extra point will be a factor as this game wears on. Once again, a great job by Ed White, the all-pro offensive guard for the San Diego Chargers, once of the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, Mike. The Cardinals jumped out to a 24-0 lead today, but they've since come back to the pack. They are still out in front of the Redskins, though, 27-17. Theismann has thrown for 2 scores, and Hart has matched that performance. The Jets did, in fact, kick the extra point, so they are now out in front of the Patriots, 17-16, thanks thanks to that 56-yard strike to Wesley Walker that we saw. Very quickly now, the Giants in the fourth period out in front of the Eagles by a score of 17-6. Tampa Bay leading Buffalo. This one is in the fourth period, 17-3. Ricky Bell has injured his knee in that ball game. New Orleans, Dallas, it's 14-7 Dallas at the half. Seattle, Kansas City, 10-3 at the half. Seattle, Cleveland leading Baltimore by 4, and Atlanta over Chicago. We've still got a second half of football to come, but first, this special report from NBC.
NBC News special report. Here from Washington is NBC News correspondent Douglas Kiker.
Good afternoon. An ambush yesterday in the small South American nation of Guyana. 5 Americans are known dead, and at least 8 others are wounded. The dead, California Congressman Leo Ryan, NBC News correspondent Don Harris, NBC News cameraman Bob Brown, shown here on the right, and on the left, NBC News sound man Stephen Sung, who was wounded. Also dead, photographer Gregory Robinson of the San Francisco Examiner, and Patricia Park, a member of which Congressman Ryan was investigating. Details are still sketchy, but here is what we know as of now. Ryan went to Guyana to investigate a controversial religious sect formerly based in San Francisco. He was accompanied by the newsmen and by 15 others, including attorney Mark Lane, who is still reported as missing. Earlier yesterday, Congressman Ryan left Georgetown, Guyana, to inspect a jungle settlement of the People's Temple Church. According to reports, some members of this sect are being held against their wills and subjected to forced labor and physical abuse. The shooting occurred when Ryan tried to take several sect members away on a chartered plane at the airport at Port Kayatuma. One of them pulled out a gun and started shooting, then several others pulled up in a flatbed truck and opened fire. In an interview with Don Harris before the trip, Grace Stone, a former member of the People's Temple Church, talked about the physical punishment sect leaders administered at the settlement.
I've seen people get beaten so badly that both of their eyes were swollen shut. I've seen people with broken noses. I've seen people get hit and knocked into a piano and get a big lump on their head. And also, I've seen these same people not allowed to go to a hospital to get treatment for this. Well, he'd go on kicks. For a while, it was the paddle. Then it was into boxing matches. And what he would do is, like, let's say you were going to be boxed. He would take you, and he'd have someone equivalent to you or bigger beat you up. And then he'd had 5 fresh people in a row. So when that person tired, he got another fresh person to box you.
And Congressman Ryan's aide, Joe Holsinger, said he warned Ryan not to make the trip because of the danger involved.
Did you consider warning him against going?
I did warn him against going because I was afraid for his safety. But Leo has always gone to investigate things by himself. He had himself put in Folsom Prison for 8 days in 1970 to check on, in maximum security, to check on conditions in prison. He taught school for 2 weeks in Watts after the Watts riot to check on conditions there, and it's part of his pattern of representing his constituents to go and find out for himself.
This afternoon, the State Department said there are alarming rumors, but no confirmation, that members of the People's Temple Church, terrified over the possibility that their sect might be destroyed by this awful event, are undertaking mass suicide in Guyana. There'll be further details on NBC's nightly news to be seen on most of these stations. I'm Douglas Kiker, NBC News, Washington.
This has been an NBC News special report and has come to you from Washington.
Wide open coming across, number 29, Harold Jackson. He shouldn't leave his feet like that. He should just run into the ball. Oh, my goodness.
The boot is good. 3 yards for the win. It is up. It is no good. It is no good. It is off to the left. Oh, my.
The surging St. Louis Cardinals jumped out to a 24-0 lead over the Redskins, an advantage the Washington crew just couldn't overcome. Jim Hart had 2 touchdown passes in that 24-0 buildup, but the stinger was this 70-yard return of a Mike Bragg punt for a touchdown by Willard Harold that started it all. The 27-17 win was the 4th straight for the 4-8 Cardinals. Well, while the Redskins might have been looking ahead to Thursday's Thanksgiving battle with Dallas, the Cowboys, after falling behind 7-0 to New Orleans, needed this to get started. But the Saints just might have been picking on the wrong one-hung guy in this battle. Tony Dorsett leaves this group encounter to rush through the Saints for 152 yards and 1 touchdown. This 63-yard gallop set up a fourth-quarter field goal and put Dorsett over the 1,000-yard mark for the season. The final here, Cowboys 27, the Saints 7. Well, in one of those classic cases of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, the New York Giants blew any playoff hopes they might have had when Joe Pisarcik and Larry Zonka missed on a handoff, and Philadelphia's Herman Edwards picks it up to go score the winning touchdown with 20 seconds left in the game. The Eagles' 19-17 win puts them just a game behind Washington and Dallas. The Chicago Bears snapped an 8-game losing streak as they beat Atlanta 13-7. A 2-yard touchdown run by Walter Payton and 2 Mike Thomas field goals were all the Bears needed. Mike Ray threw for 2 touchdowns, and Ricky Bell ran for a third as the Buccaneers snapped a 3-game skid, beating the Bills 31-10. The San Diego Chargers won their 4th straight as they upset the Vikings 13-7 in frosty 15-degree weather and snow in Bloomington. That Viking loss gave the Packers a chance to regain sole possession of first place in the NFC Central, but the Broncos were to have none of that as they rolled out the barrel to beat the Packers 16-3 and stay abreast of Oakland in the AFC West.
Now let's turn our attention to yesterday's NFL highlights. The play, Shea Stadium, New York City. The New England Patriots coming in to go against the Jets, who would be led for the first time in 7 weeks by Richard Todd, number 14, the quarterback. And it was 10-10 in the fourth quarter. Horace Ivory sweeping right. What a year he's been having. This one good for 11 yards and a touchdown. That gave the Pats a 16-10 lead. Conversion attempt was blocked on the very next series of plays. Matt Robinson in at quarterback now. Todd re-injured that collarbone. Robinson looking deep downfield. You've seen this combination before. Wes Walker, the second-year speedster from California. Touchdown. The Jets went ahead 17-16. But on the very next series of plays, curious chain of events. Pats had the ball, 1st and 10, the Jets 40. Grogan back to pass. The pass intended for 29, Harold Jackson. Watch closely. There's Jackson all alone. He drops it. And then, apparently, the slightest touch by Burgess Owens. But Owens called for a personal foul by the official. Burgess looked at the official in disbelief. Look at it again. No catch. The play over. And there's Burgess. Still, personal foul call. That set up a New England field goal. They went ahead, 19-17. This attempt by Leahy from 33 yards out with just seconds left. Sailed wide left. And so the Pats hung on for a 19-17 victory. So the Pats are at 9-3. San Diego at Minnesota. 11 inches of snow. How would you like that? San Diego coming from a warm climb, but not too disturbed by it. First quarter action, nothing. Fran Tarkenton back to pass. He rolls right, hits 34, the former Georgia, Ricky Young, touchdown. Young's the leading receiver in the NFL. So the Vikes took a 7-0 lead. In the second quarter, it became 7-7. But San Diego all day long had a hard time getting on track, and this play manifests that fact. Fouts handing off to Hank Bauer on the Minnesota 2-yard line. He goes off right tackle, collides with 41, Bo Matthews. After that, who's got the football? Very quickly, Bill Wise tries to get it, but loses number 29. And then, as San Diego pursues it, the ball goes out of the end zone, so it's an automatic touchback. Ed White grabbed it, but too late. Ed White, a former Vike. He's the one who was traded for Ricky Young. Now, 7-7 third quarter. San Diego ball, 3rd and 9, Minnesota 10. Dan Fouts retreats, falls down as you saw, then hits Johnny Jefferson. Touchdown, the kick failed. San Diego went on to win it, 13-7. They're a new and emerging team under Don Coryell. Soldier Field, Chicago. Atlanta with a winning streak of 5 straight. The Bears with a losing streak of 8 straight. Third quarter, Atlanta leading 7-3. Falcons ball, 4th and 7, their own 35. Johnny James punt blocked by 51. Bruce Aaron, he recovers it at the Falcon 11-yard line. Now, just 2 plays later, Chicago ball, 2nd and 1 at the Atlanta 2. 34, of course, Walter Payton, touchdown. And so the Bears went on to win it 13-7, break their 8-game losing streak, and break Atlanta's 5-game winning streak. They had a wild game at Candlestick Park. The Rams going against their neighborhood rivals, the 49ers. Fourth quarter action, 28-14, Los Angeles. Los Angeles kicking off. The ball taken in by number 30, Davy Williams. Look at that hole that opened for him there. The wedge quickly to the left sideline. And now high-stepping it all the way down the field. 89-yard kickoff return. Touchdown. And that made it 28-21. Later in the fourth quarter. Fumble recovery. 49ers got the ball. First and 10. The Rams 41. Look at Ball Hoffer go. Number 36 having himself a big afternoon. All the way downfield. Finally, he's ruled down at the 2-yard line. That set up the tying touchdown by Hoffer. The score went to 28-28. Less than 2 minutes remaining. Pat Hayden went to work. He hits Ron Jesse. Hits him 3 times in a row. There again. And always Ron Jesse seemed to be off by himself. So they got field goal position. And that means Frank Corral. He had beaten Philadelphia and Tampa Bay earlier in the season in the final seconds. Now he does it to San Francisco as the Rams win by the skin of their teeth. Or by Frank Corral's shoelaces, 31-28 over the 49ers. RFK Stadium, Washington, D.C. The Cardinals, winners of 3 straight, coming in to play the stumbling Redskins. In the first quarter, 0-0. Mike Bragg punting. And he punts from their own 33, the Redskins, to Willard Harrell. Now watch Willard Harrell, 39, right past a sheath of blockers. Quick hole opening. And he goes virtually straight downfield. Nobody does this to Washington special teams. At least nobody had done it for 4 years. But Willard Harrell did it. And the Cards took a 7-0 lead. 70 yards for the touchdown. Later in the first quarter, the Cards threatening again. Jim Hart throwing for Mel Gray, 85. He deflects it to 84. Dave Steep. Touchdown. And the Cardinals led 14-0. They moved that lead up to a stunning 24-0 in the second quarter. Washington started to come back. First and 10, their own 40. Joe Theismann hitting Danny Bugs, number 88. Now watch this. It's kind of cute. He backs in for an apparent touchdown, but he had been ruled out at the 15-yard line. Nonetheless, they started to come back. In the third quarter, they were trailing St. Louis 24-10. And Theismann was ready to strike again from the Cardinal 42. He throws the big bomb deep downfield to number 86, Johnny McDaniel. Touchdown, 24-17. But the Cards hung on for that victory. Texas Stadium, the New Orleans Saints, a tough team coming in to play the suddenly rolling Dallas Cowboys. 14-7, third quarter. Dallas ball, 2nd and 18 from the New Orleans 24. And Staubach to Billy Joe Dupree. Touchdown, 21-7. In the fourth quarter, it was still 21-7. Cowboys ball, 1st and 10, their own 26. 33 is Tony Dorsett. You see him get through that bundle of would-be tacklers. Nobody touched him. Now it's a sprint. And look at that. It's a foot race. And he is finally brought down after going 63 yards. That set up another pair of field goals, and Dallas won it. The tough Eagles against the Giants at Giant Stadium in New Jersey, and the Giants surprise, quickly taking a 7-0 lead in the first quarter. Then with 1st and 20 on the Eagles 30, still in the first quarter, Pisarcik throws deep into the end zone. All alone is Johnny Perkins. Touchdown. So the Giants roll to a 14-0 lead. Eagle comeback started with about 1:30 remaining in the first half. Eagles ball, 3rd and 4. Giants 8. Jaworski to Wilbert Montgomery. He burst through. Touchdown. The kick failed. It was 14-6 in the fourth quarter. 17-12 Giants. There's John McVay, the Giants head coach, looking on. Only 31 seconds left. No timeouts for the Eagles left. 3rd and 2 for the Giants at the 29. He handed off. Pisarcik did to nobody. The ball picked up by 46. Herman Edwards. Unbelievable. Touchdown. And so the Eagles won it 19-17. All Pisarcik had to do was take the ball and go to the ground. Time would have run out. But no, instead, the scene of unbelievable jubilation. Now another look. Right into the hip of Zonka. He didn't want the football. He didn't expect it. Bango. There it went. And so, Dick Vermeil had a victory beyond anyone's credulity. It couldn't have happened, but it did. Today, the Giants fired their offensive coordinator, Bob Gibson. He called the play.